order. We do have one of our members that is missing, but as we do at 5 o'clock, that's when we start. And then if he comes in, I don't know whether he'll be, has he said anything to anybody at all? Okay.
He was at the ceremony this afternoon.
He was, okay, well, if he comes in, that's good. And if
Maybe he had a
doesn't,
heat
that's all right.
stroke like the rest of us.
I'm sorry I was unable to go to that though, because I really wanted to be there for it. Did they have a good turnout there, Mayor? So?
Pretty well for a
Good.
government-run operation. So
No, I got you.
nobody's terribly excited about a health department.
Yeah, well, they are useful. They really are. If there's no objection, we'll go ahead and accept the agenda as is, unless anyone needs anything to be added. But we usually cover that if somebody does is under other business. And seeing if there's no objection, we'll move on to the minutes.
Move approval.
Okay, and and I'll second that. So there's been a motion and a proper second. And any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, is everyone ready to vote? All in favor of the minutes signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, it passes unanimously. The approval. And now to citizens' comments. Does anybody have anything to discuss that we need to be aware of? Now, there may be something on the agenda, and if you want to wait until that time, then we'll discuss it then. Okay, so we have no citizens' comments. We have ordinances and resolutions. We have 2 readings of resolutions tonight. One is the approval of resolution 2025-18, and it's a resolution authorizing the city's Department of Parks and Rec to apply for the Blue Cross Blue Shield Healthy Place Grant, and I need a motion.
So moved.
Okay, and I will second that motion. And so now for discussion.
I just want to make sure, Mr. Chairman, it says it in our analysis, but this is a non-matching grant. This is,
I'm gonna turn to Sarah.
I'm sorry, I would have to defer to Mr.
Yeah.
Gilly.
Yeah,
I can't keep them
Present.
straight, to be honest with you.
yeah, it says in fiscal impact that it's a non-matching, so
Okay.
we won't have to allocate any money we've been turned down for this several years. So
Blue Cross Blue Shield is typically 100%.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
it's my understanding that
So that's
it's a non-matching
Okay.
grant.
So I'm all good for it.
And I think we've applied for this before and not gotten it several times. Okay, any further discussion on that? I'm all for it, but any further discussion on this, on the resolution, and this will be moved to our July meeting for the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. We've got a proper motion and proper second. All in favor of this resolution 25-18 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, it passes unanimously. And that passes on. And the sponsor was Jenna Garden. You're right, this pen is dead.
But plan.
I'll get you one.
So, thank you. Let's go on with the second resolution 25-19, which is a resolution authorizing the city's Department of Parks and Recreation to apply for a property conservation grant with public entity partners. And I need a motion.
So moved.
And I will second that. So there's been a proper motion and proper second. Now let's go for discussion. Does anybody know about that one?
Yeah, I'm looking at the fiscal impact.
Yes, sir.
It's a 50-50. This is a 50-50, and we've had it in the past, so we stand a good chance. So I guess I just want to make sure, Mayor, that we have the $4,000 if we're granted that we can allocate for this. Okay. Okay.
So we do have that grant, because I apologize, but I'm not really familiar with that one. So we'll go ahead and that's a 50-50.
PEP never provides real big grants. But we're gonna apply for it because we are very likely to earn them. And so we keep applying.
And I think we've been able, in reading the write-up, we've been able to purchase cameras in our parks to help vandalism,
Oh, yeah.
curb vandalism and stuff.
And if we didn't curb it, we caught the people who perpetrated it.
Has that been successful so
Oh, yeah.
far?
Oh, yeah.
Good.
So what precipitated this was we had some bathroom damage about 3
Right.
years ago.
Yeah.
And we had some park areas and some parks that didn't have any cameras. We placed the cameras, part of them through this grant, and it curbed it significantly.
That's good. All right, since there's any other further discussion on this motion, hearing none, is everyone ready to vote? All in favor of resolution 2025-19, which is a resolution authorizing the city's Department of Parks and Rec to apply for the property conservation grant with public entity partners, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, it passes unanimously as well. Okay, now that was easy. Well, these are the fun meetings, I guess. Let's go with other agenda items. Trash collection update.
Yeah, I'm happy to report the misses have been pretty consistently low, well below a threshold we'd be concerned about and looking for looking to address. So it's been positive.
Yeah, I don't know about y'all's districts or wards. I didn't have any calls at all this time. It was usually it varies, but this time I didn't have any. I think I had
Good.
one last time. So, so let's keep it up.
Mhm.
I know I had a lot of trash out there, and I heard them out there and they came and took it. But it was always bagged properly. Beautiful, here we go with the beautiful Hendersonville bridge facade.
Okay, last year in August, after we had cleaned up the bridge on Main Street and painted it and put the banners up, the mayor called and asked if we would be interested in doing a couple more bridge beautification projects. And we really did want to do that. We were successful with the one bridge that's the entrance from Indian Lake Boulevard behind Demos is there.
Yes, ma'am.
And we were able to just pressure wash it and made it look much, much better. But the other bridge, and I didn't make copies of this, but that's the bridge on Saundersville Road, and I think I sent you, this was a picture I sent you. That bridge behind Sam's there was just in much need. And we realized that it was more than we could tackle with our little committee. But given my interior design background, more than some of y'all have been alive, I had often worked with contractors, builders from the ground up on specifying materials. And I had worked with this company a while back, and I wanted with specifying these stones. So I wanted to know what happened, what caused it, and what could be done. And was there anything, even maybe just a small part that beautiful Hendersonville could do? Anyway, I contacted Jeff Walker, who is the sales manager, and he sent me, there's an email on the back there, if you're interested in reading it, what he said probably happened and what would need to be done to properly repair it. So I sent that to the mayor, and I know that time passed, and then we were getting ready to do our budget, and we needed to know what was happening with that bridge so that we could apply our funds for brackets and banners on that bridge if it's finished. And so I called Jeff again. I had talked with Trace, and he said that he had reached out to some folks but didn't have a bite. So I contacted these folks again, and that's just my resource, that just people that I know I've worked with, and he could give me an answer. I said, could you send someone out to give me an idea what that would cost? And so he did. And I'm going to just give you this, each one of you, if you'd like. This was what his thoughts were, and the quote to fix it properly. Now, this is on the face side, the street side of the bridge, not the water side, because that would just involve too much, right?
Sure.
So these are the stones that are available, and do you want to look at that?
Sure.
And there's again, I think the bridge really, I think Tracy talked about maybe going back and just painting it. But if you look in the pictures here, this is what you have now and what that looks like with some of the stone removed. I really would love to see the stone go back on. It would have so much, it has so much more.
How old is that?
I don't know how old it is.
Like 2008,
Oh, okay,
2009,
okay.
probably
2008, did you say?
around there.
Okay.
Probably. That's when a lot of that
So-
developed.
And you would think it would last longer than that.
Yeah.
It was a construction issue.
It was, yeah. So, again, this is, what you have now, and I know they're working so hard and they do a fabulous job, and this is what it kind of looks like on the back side. To just paint it, just isn't going to have the character, that's for sure, but this was the price that he gave to repair it. These are the stones that he has that are, available and pretty much in stock. So I wanted you guys to just see that and know we want to help any way we can. And if this helps, that's fantastic. But I don't see, like I said, how we could get out there, do it physically, to even remove the stones. I don't know how we could do that. But anyway, so that's what I wanted to let you know about.
So, is this bridge permanent? Did we not have some trouble with the Corps about some of our bridges? Is that issue dead?
That's been mostly resolved. We've submitted some revised mapping to FEMA. We haven't gotten a final answer, but
Okay.
the revised modeling resolved the issue.
This is a pretty well-used road by a lot of people. I know that the bridge going into the park, Andy, the stones kept falling off that as well.
Still are.
And still hard. And do you remember the price of the bid? Of course, that's a much larger bridge
It is.
than this one.
It is.
Do you remember the price? that we
We
got?
had a price from, can't remember who it was, the company gave us a price for both of them, both of these bridges.
Yeah, I can't remember who it
I
was.
want to say it was to do both, close to 100,000, maybe less. Can't remember exactly. I could go look it up, actually, probably come back in 5 minutes.
Additionally, shortly after Kathy brought it to our attention and had contacted the Centaurian rep
Mhm.
previously, we put this out for RFP and asked for proposals for various options to include removal of stone and painting, removal of stone and replacement of stone, and any other ideas, basically. And we didn't receive any responses on that. And so that's when Andy then reached out to the rep.
Wasco.
He did. Okay.
It was Wasco.
So, and then to date, our staff has gone in and removed probably maybe close to 50% of the stones on this bridge with the idea of removing the stones and painting, but it won't be the same aesthetic, of course.
No, it won't. It won't. I don't know how they would be able to remove all of that actually it won't be a smooth surface, I don't think. And there
Yeah,
may be
texture.
possibility of some texture and paint it. But the maintenance is always going to be there, no matter what you do, but you will have to maintain and have to paint and have to pressure wash whatever you put on there. I love the brick or the stone.
So does the city have a bricklayer on staff?
No.
Someone that does? I know that when we did the first responders monument, we had a bricklayer do that. That was an employee. I don't know if he's an employee of Parks or not, but there was a city employee that did that to save us money.
Okay.
I guess I was just wondering if, of course, it'd be cheaper if we could put a brick facade on it. It wouldn't look as good, but it would be better than just stripping it off and painting
Mhm.
just
Sure.
concrete.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we just went through the budget process and of course, this is in Ward 6, and I'd like to see it done. It's also close to the Greenway, right?
It is.
You know, and a lot of people use that. So Mayor, what's our way forward on this?
So we've got a couple options. We can continue to just let them fall off and then gradually, eventually pry the last ones off and do something then. We can force them off and we can paint there. There will be some texture on there that we'll have to deal with. And just when I say paint, it wouldn't have to be just a one flat color. It could have some relief to it, I guess. We can go hire somebody and spend some money. We did just approve the budget though. One of the things I talked to Kathy is just making the entrances of our city looking better overall.
Yes.
And not just this bridge, but the two overpasses that we have on Highway 3180. And so it's hard for me to say, let's leave this one alone for a long period of time when we're looking at doing some things at the entrance of the city that would beautify us a little bit.
Okay, so
The money's not there though. We would have to find the money or appropriate money.
This proposal from Wasco, you can read in the paragraph, they went and evaluated both bridges. And they could replace the stone, but you can see in there, they would not make any guarantee that we wouldn't be in the same situation falling apart. So their estimate was to clean everything off and paint it similar to the one at Demos.
Sarah, am I correct that the problem wasn't necessarily the stone, it was the adhesive that they used?
Yeah, it was the means and methods of construction. They didn't.
It was smooth, right?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
smooth, and there's usually some. I can't think of the correct wording now, but almost like a mesh you put down, and then you kind of adhere to that. And none of that was done.
Mhm.
So is this price replacing the stone or just stripping it
That
off
is-
and paint?
That is stripping everything off, cleaning it and painting it.
And
think
that
this
price
was
is
replacing-
$33,000 just to strip it down.
I'm not a real big proponent of adding the rock back, but I would like something more than just a flat wall. Fortunately, we have somebody in the construction business that's with us tonight that might have a recommendation.
Well, I was asking Andy, is there someone in Parks that does bricklaying?
We have a person that works in the parks that used to own a bricklaying company. He's 64 years old, so
Is he the one that helped on the first responders
he did.
monument?
He'd be a great crew leader I don't know that he would be a bricklayer at this point.
I will say I've worked with the company and they have done several projects for me and no problem,
Which
no
one?
problems with the Centurion.
Centurion did the
at
the
37.
fountain at Memorial Park when we just redid it.
Any problems?
No, in a similar situation, they came in and said, we can do this. It will require removing all the stone because what they used to begin with was basically indoor facade brick that should have not been outdoor. So that's why it was falling apart in their estimate.
Mhm.
The fountain, I remember putting the brick on the fountain was about 80,000 when we redid it. And it had some more intricacies other than a bridge because you had some electrical and plumbing stuff.
We will have a surplus when the fiscal year ends
Mm.
in 2 weeks.
I know that we have a couple of options here. I know that we have applied for a grant, Parks grant. We haven't heard anything on that, have we?
No, sir.
And if that grant is rejected, and when should we know?
We were told by the end of June, but usually it's late July, early August.
So if that grant is rejected, then we've got $2 million that we set aside in the sales tax fund that we could use, I guess. I know that the parks will have a lot of uses for that money if we don't get the grant. Plus, at mid-year budget, it may look a little different position. Kathy, I wish that we could just go ahead and vote to do this now, but we just came through the budget. I asked you to come because I think this is important enough, beautifying the city,
Mhm.
which your committee has done an outstanding job, and let me just give you kudos at Country Hills Golf Course. It is,
Thank you.
it's just made the difference in night and day. I mean, you get in the parking lot, you see these old men come to play golf, and they got smiles on their faces.
All right.
That's
Good.
That's evangelistically speaking.
But thank you.
But still, y'all did a great job on that. So,
Good.
what do you think?
Well, I know, as you said, we just got through out of budget. Maybe we can beautifying that area, because it's just used constantly. It really is. And it is, and I always want to always try to have it beautiful, I guess, or look good looking when you do use that section.
Mr. Chairman, we'll know more about our fiscal situation next time y'all meet.
I was gonna ask you that, because you said something, not a commitment by any means, and if that sounds terrible for me to say it, I'll strike that. But you kind of tweaked my interest, I guess, is the thing, that you would know more as our budget this year closes. And when is that, in June?
June 30th.
June
So
30th,
we're
okay.
not even 2 weeks away.
Yeah,
Mhm.
we're about 10 days away, or maybe, or something like that. But by our next committee meeting, you'll be able to really ascertain where we need to go and how we need to go through that. Would you agree with that?
I could tell you what the possibilities are for funding. I'd still look for y'all for some direction on
Sure.
which way to go.
Okay. Well, yes, and I appreciate that. You just let us know what we're working with, and in Public Works Committee, we'll find something. We're good at always figuring it out.
Well, I've got a motion.
Sure. Yes, sir. By all means.
So I would like to make a motion that we continue this discussion,
Okay.
and that we also ask Centurion to give us a bid like Wasco did on the Drakes Creek Park Bridge as well. We've got a quote here from Wasco to just strip it off and paint it for $38,000 for the Drakes Creek Bridge and $33,000, and that's just stripping it down. They've got about $4,000 more. They'll actually put rock back on it. So I'd like to get them to look at this other one and give a bid, and then we put it back on the agenda in a month for our next meeting to continue to discuss. So we're not saying no, we're just saying we need to look at it a little more and then see what the budget looks like at the end.
Good. I think that's good.
Okay, well, I'll second that motion. Any discussion on the motion from staff or Alderman?
I do have one
And
question.
Andy, yes, sir.
Does that include going, and I missed this conversation, but
Sure.
did it talk about going on the backside of it where they'll have to get down in the water to?
No, not the backside.
Just street side and the columns.
For whatever reason, I have seen the backside from a kayak. I don't know of many rock pieces that have fallen.
I was
It
just asking.
hasn't really. It hasn't really. I don't know why.
I don't know if it has to do with how the bridge vibrates or the cars go over it or what.
I have, this is terrible, but I've never really looked at the backside.
I have to look at it.
You pretty much have to be in the water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You do. But
I
that's
guess so.
embarrassing like it is now. That is just,
Yeah.
doesn't speak highly.
Yes.
We can maintain and do better than that, I know.
But the ruins like that look good in Athens, Greece, but not.
Yeah, right,
Right. Oh.
Maybe a couple hundred more years of Hendersonville there. All right, there's been a proper motion and a second. Is there any other discussion on the motion? We'll put this back on the agenda for next month's committee meeting. And then we will ask to get a Centurion for a bid for Drakes Creek Bridge as well. And see what that's the result. Is that about correct?
Yeah, and I'd just like for Andy to work with Kathy on
Yeah. So that'd be good.
Yeah, that's fine. Dude, who's calling Centurion, me or you?
I can call him if you want. Yeah. I told him I'd let him know how the meeting went tonight.
Yeah, let them know we're very interested in it and do the best they can to
Sure.
get it as low
Absolutely.
as they can.
Yeah.
All right. Any further discussion on the motion? All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Aye, all oppose it. The motion passes, and so that's what we're gonna do with that, and we'll put it on the agenda for next month. All right. Thank you, Ms. Katz, for coming this
Thank
evening.
you.
And you're welcome to
Thank
stay,
you.
or you can go now for dinner or something, so.
Well, I think I'll go.
All right.
Thank you very much. I
understand-
appreciate
understand
it.
completely.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
All right, let's go to number 5, moving right along, it's to the cemeteries. And that's something we kind of discussed briefly at our last meeting, and the mayor, I think you were gonna come to us and give us
I'm gonna introduce this. I'm gonna ask Mr. Batten to continue it. We've got multiple cemeteries in Hendersonville. We've got some large ones that are for profit. We've got several that are owned by churches, maintained by those churches. I actually have one in my backyard that's maintained by the HOA. We've
So
got.
you know where all the bodies are buried.
At least one's in my neighborhood. We've got a couple that are owned that are part of shopping centers that are taken care of. We've got one that is literally next to the walkway of the church. They take care of it. We have 5 or 6 that technically have no owners. And what we've done in those situations, we've pretty much relied on waiting for it to get in bad shape. I call up some Boy Scouts or call up somebody looking at some sort of service organization, ask them if they'll go out there and take care of it. And then 6, 8, 10 months, we're back in the same situation. The biggest of those with no owner is one that Mr. Batten brought to me a couple weekends ago. And you want to tell them what you told me?
Yeah. Thank you all for, first off, for what you do for the city and do a tremendous job of running this big machine, and take my hat off to all of you for what you do and putting your time in on it. The Saunders Cemetery, it has got about 25 people buried there. Hubbard Saunders, being the main founder of Saundersville, is buried there, and his wife, and then other descendants. He had 14 children, and I'm sure a bunch of those are buried there as well. And about 25 years ago, one of the family members took it upon himself to clean the place up. And Joe Saunders, he passed away about 3 months ago. He was 94 years old, and up until about 5 years ago, he took care of it, being a direct descendant of the Saunders, and cut the trees, the brush, cleaned it up, and kept it in really good shape until he couldn't do it any longer. And then my wife and some of her cousins took it over and have been paying to have it cut since that time. And about 3 or 4 months ago, a windstorm came through and knocked a bunch of trees down, and it was a little bit less than $10,000 cleaning all that up again. And so that is done. It's in really good shape right now. They even had some trees cut down that looked like they were going to fall on somebody else's property, or if they were eaten up with termites or whatever.
Keep in mind, this is not his property.
Yeah, there's no owner. We checked the deed because up at the administration building in Sumner County, because we were concerned who's liable for this if these trees or something else happens there, somebody falls on the property and gets hurt. And there is no owner of the cemetery. And I think the amount of money they had to put out to cut these trees up and get them hauled off, and they are ready to throw the towel in and let it grow up again. And my wife and I have taken it upon ourselves. We're going to continue for the rest of the year to keep it clean and mowed, and see if we could get some relief from the city to since it is such a historical part of Sumner County, to take it over and keep it mowed.
And it's bordered by 7 houses.
Where is the cemetery?
So,
Scottish Highlands.
Yeah.
So you recognize that stretch of
I do.
property pretty well.
I'm part of that. I'm part of that.
That's like great golf ball in there one time.
So Scottish Highlands, it's in Scottish Highlands.
Yeah, when the developers built that subdivision out, it's sad that they didn't cut a road back to that cemetery. But Joe Saunders, when he started cleaning it up, there was an easement to the house on the other side of where the easement is now. But it had been, the cemetery had been growing wild for so many years. Trees grew up where you couldn't get back to the cemetery through that easement. And he went next door and got another easement filed with the county, and they were happy to give it to him because the people in that area really want this thing to be cleaned up instead of just letting it grow up wild. So there is an easement to get back to it, going down the People's
From
Drive.
where, Jimmy? Where's the easement?
St. Andrews Road, it is this house right here.
Okay.
Yeah, going right down their drive and then right back to the cemetery.
Okay.
And so, by the way, the walls of the cemetery are only just this part right here. The property, 2/3 of an acre maybe?
Yeah. It's a pretty good sized piece of property.
So what does it mean that there's no owner? Who's the default owner? The city?
Honestly, the best we can figure is it's whoever had the land grant from North Carolina 200 years ago.
Wow.
It's not the city. I've talked to several mayors that similar situations. And I've talked to, there's actually an office of cemeteries and graveyards in the state. It is not our responsibility.
Is it possible that it's a Skidmore?
The way the state looks at it is they look at it as the responsibilities of the descendants.
Okay.
That if they want, so first off, whoever owns the cemetery has to keep it open for descendants to access it. That's the situation in my backyard. If somebody wants to come back there, I have to allow them. But the closest people that have any interest in it, it's the responsibility of the descendants, but they don't own it. And however they want to maintain it is up to them. Now, the 7 property owners around there would probably like it maintained.
Yeah, every time we've been over there, we get a lot of interest, people walking out, what are you going to do? Are you going to clean this mess up? And yeah, they're really interested in what's going to happen.
But they don't want to clean it up.
How many of these cemeteries?
We think there are 5 or 6 that have no owner in Hendersonville.
Okay.
Most of them are much smaller than that. Most of them are much smaller than those walls right there.
Okay. And the state has no, I know they have to be registered with the state. Graveyards have to register with the state, but the state has no help for maintaining these graveyards.
Their point is really to have a registry of the ones that they know of,
Right.
and make sure that they are open to descendants. That's what they're interested in.
Okay.
We were just kind of talking about that because now I know this is selfish, but I'm thinking about my own family. I don't know. I guess no, I have some cousins on mama's side that. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm just starting to think. Well, what is the suggestion? Obviously, I want to keep cemeteries are I'm kind of weird about them. They're special because they're a family thing, and I don't. The thing that I don't want to happen to it is as you didn't either. Just to have it overgrown and just a mess in the middle of, especially in the middle of a subdivision.
Mm-hmm.
So you're asking, just for the record, you're asking for some help from the city to see what we can help to resolve this issue, right? So Mayor,
When we do it that one, we really need to be prepared to do it the other.
That's
ways.
why. I
Yeah,
asked the
that's what I was gonna say,
Yeah,
because
I mean,
whatever we do for this one, we need to be open to do
Mhm.
for the rest of them.
I'm not suggesting we become the owner,
Right,
because then it's ours forever. I
right.
mean, nobody's buying liabilities off of somebody else. I don't think there's any money to be made. I don't think there's really
Right, yeah.
a general purpose for the city to benefit from it. However, just like this cemetery, all the other cemeteries that have an owner, they have neighbors. And well, similar situation in, abandoned HOA property in off of Township. That's a little bit
Yeah,
different. That
yeah,
actually has an
yeah.
owner. That's HOA, but the neighbors are calling us and saying, "When are y'all come take care of this?"
Right,
We can say all day long it's not ours, but the neighbors still want us to take care of it.
yeah.
And it becomes a health problem for those neighbors. So my best suggestion, and take variations of this, please, is that over sometime between now and next January, those 5 or 6 that don't have any ownership, that we send our public works over there to do a really good cleanup. And in that time, I'll start looking for organizations and start asking for volunteers to say, this is your cemetery, this is your cemetery. Also, I'll research whether or not we can allow somebody to be buried there. I don't know the answer to that question. So the one in my backyard, somebody was buried there about 3 years ago. None of my neighbors know who gave permission for that.
Right.
Wow.
They not off phase.
So, I don't want to take ownership of them, and I don't want to take action on cemeteries that have ownership.
So Jimmy, is your wife related to the Saunders?
Yeah, she was a Monday. Her mother was a Saunders. And they lived on the farm. There's still 45 acres left over on Stop 30 Road, right along the bypass that they still have there, out of 2,000 acres
Wow.
at one time. Yeah, Hubbard Saunders owned 2,000 acres all the way to the river, and I don't know how far it went back this way, in the late 1700s.
So your wife was a Monday.
Right.
Is she kin to Ray Collier? She's her family was Monday.
I've never heard that.
Okay.
Her father was Grady Monday.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, listen, I've been thinking a lot about public works because all of us are getting complaints about brush and limb pickup. I think we're going to have to look at the positive. I mean, if we're going to ask public works to do this, I think we're going to have to look at increasing their staff,
If we decide to take over the maintenance long term, we would have to.
especially at the mid-year budget.
Okay.
You know, and what I'm thinking of, well, I'll talk with Sarah off the record. What I'm thinking, I won't put that on the record yet.
We could also get to January and go up for bids.
Sure, yeah.
It throws something else on Sarah either way.
Yeah, I'm real cognizant of how overworked they are right now.
Excuse me. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Sarah and I both have landscape contracts, right? We have a landscape company that does City Hall. We have landscape companies that mow different areas. It could be you could talk with one of them about doing an amendment to a current contract to one-off or as needed
Yeah.
for certain pieces of property.
So what they did makes my yard look terrible. The work that they did right now, it is a very nice cemetery with the surroundings, very nice. The rest of them, not so much.
And Mayor Clary was kind enough to meet me over there on a Saturday morning, and I had not been over there a great deal, but I was really surprised to see how good how in good shape the rock walls were around the cemetery itself. It's stayed in pretty good order, and it's a nice looking, decent historical cemetery right now, with all the dead trees gone. But there's a lot more of them.
It inspired me to go mow my lawn.
Well, for some of us that have lived in Hendersonville a long time, the history on it's unreal, really, when you really think about it.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's another important thing that I think that's a good idea to, I want to keep it clean. and do the family right to them, because that there, I mean, it's a historical value to
Yeah,
at least the people that feel about the city the way that I do. And I think most people in this room feel probably the same way, you know. That they
well, I appreciate that.
And
It is a shame to just let it grow back up,
Yes,
and I
sir.
hate that they've made that decision.
right.
But there's vaults in there, there's small headstones, and there's a lot of history there.
So Jimmy, what have you and your wife agreed to do to continue this for a month or two, or what?
For the year, for the rest of the year.
For the rest of the year, so
Till
we're
winter
looking
time.
we need a plan for next year.
Yeah, we're gonna
Next
take care of it until the grass
calendar
starts
year,
growing.
right?
Yes, sir.
Calendar year.
Yes,
So
sir.
that would be mid-year, but of course in the winter, you don't have any.
Right.
Unless a tree falls, but you don't have maintenance. So
Right.
again, we're looking at another mid-year budget.
Yes, so we could look at this again and have a plan devised by mid-year budget. What do you think? Or just a plan, you know, a working plan. And whether it comes into a reality, we will do our best to get that plan. And we're pretty good in Public Works about getting something on paper that we can look at. And that would give you guys time enough to look
For
through.
your parks, not public works.
Do what?
I'm in parks, not public works.
I know, but you were the one that raised, but you raised the issue.
Well, I was
so-
just saying, I mean, that,
Yeah.
we have amended contracts before to include
You know, and if.
one-off weed eating for
Right.
a day or whatever, where we didn't have to necessarily always put out an RFP and take months to get something done.
Just see, I'm thinking of all the cemetery, because, that, we spoke about that, I guess yesterday, actually more than I think about it, when we had at Moby Dickey's that, I mean, Hendersonville, we've got more cemeteries around
You
here,
really do.
you know, than I've ever known.
This is the second house I've lived in with a cemetery in the backyard.
Well, that's crazy.
So what about prisoners' labor,
I mean,
prison labor?
I think that'd be good, yeah. I don't know if Public Works has anybody trained to check out inmates, but it's a one-day class.
We don't right now because we weren't able to get any for a long time.
Yeah, they'll give you a crew down.
So the county is willing to provide prison inmate labor, not prison labor, inmate labor. So that's another option that maybe we could look at. So maybe just ask the staff, mayor, to try to come up with a plan for the mid-year budget to
So
deal with these.
I want to make sure that y'all aren't inclined to take over ownership of these.
No, I
Okay.
wouldn't be.
Okay. And that y'all are interested in helping the maintenance of it. That's the
Yes.
two big questions I have. Okay, and I'll get with Sarah and get with Jesse and we'll come up with a plan.
Now, on the taking over, now that's my opinion.
Mine too.
Yeah, okay.
Mine too. I don't want to take it over.
We own a lot of land that's just a liability. I don't want to add to it.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
A lot of the land with trees on it
Mhm.
that fall.
Unfortunately.
Ms. Dixon, do you have any, as an alderman, do you have any say so on our feeling?
No, I'm right there with you. I don't think that we should extend beyond just maintaining, and I don't think we should put any money in
Okay.
making them look new fence, new
Right.
bridges or
Right, I
fencing,
got
or,
you. Yeah.
that, but,
Yeah.
because we're opening up for a big
Right.
door there.
Yeah.
We do,
Right.
so.
Right.
I would be happy to meet anyone over there, if you wanted to walk through it, and I had sent some photos to Mayor Clary, if anybody wants to see them.
That's in Ward 2, isn't it?
There you go, and you can just thumb.
Probably. Probably.
How old is the fence, Jimmy? The stone wall?
Well, there was people that buried there in the 1700s, so I'm thinking it goes back that far.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the stones aren't falling off. That's a good thing.
Well, y'all are doing a great
Big.
job.
It's big.
What, do you just have a contractor to go out and do it?
We have the guy that cuts our grass at our home. They used to. I'm the new mower at my home, but
So can you tell me how much he charges to do it?
$170. That's what we pay him, $170 a month.
Okay,
Look at it real quick.
Yeah. that's neat.
So it's at least as old as 1829, because that's when Herbert Saunders died. And by the way, if you look at his will, it's pretty interesting. So Jimmy gave it to him.
Okay, so we'll work on it.
Well, I sure appreciate any consideration.
Oh, yeah. Well, that is,
Well, I'm glad you came to us now as opposed to us finding out about it 2 years from now.
Yeah.
that brick, did a hell of a job, heck of a job on that.
You're good.
Yeah,
They
I
saw it,
wish
then
they
I'll
were
take
alive.
it
Help
down.
us with
I know, I
the-
saw
I just started laughing.
I know. Anyway, you want to say it, Dark?
I have a map of all the locations.
Yeah, I kinda
of
blew
those
it out, so.
Cemeteries if we ever need
Or-
it.
Oh,
Good,
yeah.
so Natasha put
Leave that
some
up.
information together.
Mr. Patton, you done that's a remarkable job that they've done, so.
It's, I was surprised the first time I went over there on how nice it looked and how good a shape the rock walls are,
Yes, sir.
since they go back at least to the early 1800s.
Scottish Island doesn't have an HOA.
So we'll put this back and then you all are prepared to come to us. Just put it on the agenda for whenever that is.
Okay.
And then come on, just, when you guys are ready.
Sounds good.
Yeah, one last thing on the family. The reason that they're saying throw in the towel is they're all in their 70s now.
Yes, sir.
And they're satisfied that when they're gone, nobody else in the family is going to, none of their kids, they don't live here, and nobody else is going to take it over after they're gone. So their position was, why keep it going till the last one of us die? We'll just throw in the towel right now. So that was their.
Well, I understand that. I mean, I really do. That makes sense, so.
Nobody new is being buried there. This guy that just died, you said Saunders, that just died, he's not buried in
No,
there, is he?
there's not been anybody buried there in many, many years.
Okay.
No.
It's not an active cemetery.
No.
Okay.
All right. Well, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna look into see what we can do.
If I can do anything whatsoever, please let me know.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.
Thank you very much.
Okay. We'll
Thank
talk
all
soon.
of you.
Okay.
This is the hospital construction man right here. Good to see you, buddy.
Oh, you keep up the work, brother. It's good to see you again.
Good to see you.
Okay.
And good to see you, bud. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you. I'm glad he came when he did. That was, because, the worst thing I want us to see is something, especially in the cemetery, is it's all broken up and messed up and, tombstones are kicked over or not kicked over, but just weathered, the years have gone by and they just fallen apart. So, but I think this is a good idea for Hendersonville to
So-
honor its past.
So I agree with you. We should not take ownership.
Right.
We should not put an additional burden on public works staff. If we
Right.
can contract it out,
Yeah.
$175 a month for 6 months a year, and and I don't want to spend a whole lot of money on rock walls and stuff, just
Right.
maintaining the
Yeah.
appearance of it. So on those parameters, I'm willing to look at options.
Okay. We'll go ahead and move along to the light synchronization, an update on that for this month's meeting.
So we, based on the estimate for construction and then TDOT's oversight costs and the CEI contract, which is required, we have identified a $220,000 shortfall in this project. I've gone back to the CMAQ office through TDOT and they have agreed to fund that.
Good.
That's
Good.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You got that in writing.
it's in an email.
All right.
I'll
But
take it.
in order to
Yes.
move toward construction, the tip, the document through the GNRC has to be amended to include those additional funds to cover the total construction estimate.
Can we do that
And
next
so,
month?
they're doing it.
Okay.
They're gonna have that in the July amendment. And so then once the tip is amended, we send that to TDOT. They will then seek obligation of funds from or from the CMAQ office and FHWA. And then we would be issued the notice to proceed to construction to be able to bid. So that process most likely is about another 2 months, I would estimate, at least.
That's a pretty good investment, 2 months for 200,000.
Oh,
It is.
Lord, yeah.
It is, yeah, I was
Yeah.
very happy to hear that.
Good job. Will we have to do anything, a resolution or ordinance or anything?
No.
Okay,
No,
excellent.
we're good to go.
That's good
All right.
news.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Right there, just stop. Let's just call it a meeting right there. All right. I don't have any other, listen, that took care of that shortfall. I don't have any other questions for tonight for that. Does anyone else have any questions on that? After that, that's a blessing, and thank you for your hard work.
The only
with that.
thing that I'm hearing, and I think all of us are, is the limb and brush pickup.
Yeah.
And Trace sent me a email that we had 2 claws down, but he thinks they're getting ready to get back in. So
Mhm.
I want to be patient, but are we doing all that we can on that, Sarah? Do you believe?
We are right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you said that you had some staff shortfall. What can you tell us that?
Sure. So we had an equipment operator 3 retire. So he was one of our operators for the last 30 years. So his route does not have an operator now. And so we're kind of trying to cover that on top of, we have, I think it's 3 staff members out on medical leave right now. So just doing the best we can with the resources we have.
Okay.
And the on-call contractor that we have that came in after the tornadoes and storms, they are out of Mississippi and really intended for like a major declared event where we have, hundreds of thousands of cubic yards to collect. So unfortunately, they wouldn't mobilize for something like this to get us caught up for probably 5,000 cubic yards. It's low.
But what we tell on the website and what we tell people is about every 6 weeks that it should be picked up.
Typically.
With this delay, how is that stretched out instead of every 6 weeks? Is it now every 8 weeks or
8 to 10 weeks.
8 to 10 weeks?
After a major storm where we have a lot of trees down like that, it typically will extend out to 8, sometimes 8 to 12 weeks, depending. But I think right now we're sitting by 8 to 10 weeks.
Yeah, we've been hit hard, but that wasn't, this past week is nothing but sunshine and 90. So, sometimes we just have to bear the heat, I guess, and not pray for rain, to get some of these branches picked out.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. No.
One of our other backup operators is our concrete crew chief, but this is also the time of year where sidewalks are buckling.
Oh, yeah.
So we have a very long list of sidewalks that have to be addressed. So it's just the situation we're in.
Well, for sure, we put more and more on all of our departments, but I can see it because I'm sitting on this committee of public works, and I hear sometimes the frustration in some of the staff, that, hey, we're doing the doggone as best we can, we're just, so, at an appropriate time, I might have a suggestion for mid-year budget that for discussion purposes. So I'll talk to you about it first.
Okay.
All right, hearing any other light synchronization, we'll go to other business. Is there any business before us at all? I don't foresee. Do you?
Can I bring it up? What I want to come next month.
Oh, yes.
So we have had a little issue in Ward 4 on Indian Lake going down to traveling south to the end of the peninsula.
Okay.
There in front of the Indian Lake Elementary School. The swim and tennis club is on the road. The name of the road just left me. In Lake Terrace
Right.
crosses, and then as you go through that intersection, it turns into Meadow Lake. Right there, we had a child hit. They were on I think it was a scooter, electric scooter, and nobody was hurt. Within days, we had someone, a near miss, over at the school bus entrance to the school, a walking path across, where someone almost got hit by a child on another motorized vehicle. I think he was 8, and it was like a dirt bike, right? And myself and another member of the staff of Hendersonville, I won't say his name, we both live in there, and we have done our darndest to ensure that we've had police in there, because I'm telling you, and when it got a little warm outside, I guess everybody got some sort of motorized vehicle for Christmas from Santa. And as soon as they get off the bus, within 15 minutes, I don't know if anybody recalls the Mad Max movies, but they look like the entire cast of Mad Max coming down through each. They've got their gear on. They've got they're wearing their bandanas, and they're driving whatever motorized vehicle Santa gave them. It could be, a razor, an electric scooter, an electric bike, a dirt bike, a all-terrain vehicle, or a golf cart, and they're like in mass quantity going down through the neighborhoods, and they're all underage, every one of them. So thank goodness for HPD. They've come in, we've talked to parents, we've put out notices. I put things on the website, and I've done it in other neighborhoods around, because I hear it not just from this neighborhood. So we've tried to get that cleaned up, but then there are folks that live on Lake Terrace that are concerned about that particular intersection, because there's somewhat of a blind side coming from Meadow, and it's a straight shot. There's no caution light. There's no yield sign. You just pass through those 2 roads that are coming. And when school's letting out, there's lots of people on the side of the road.
Yeah.
So one of the neighbors in that area is working on some data and would like to come and bring it here. They want a stoplight there. I don't know if that's the answer. I don't know if a stoplight is the answer. I know it's going to be a great concern from the folks who live further down the peninsula to have to go through another stoplight to get out of the peninsula. But if it's what we need for safety, it is what it is. I'm not willing to say, I'm neutral right now, very neutral on it. And I know Sarah's staff is helping us with some analysis, right?
Yes, ma'am.
We're thinking we'll have that done by the end of July, or for the next public works
Okay.
meeting.
Yes.
And I'd like to have him come and show you his data, if
Sure,
that's
we'll
okay.
put him on first thing then,
Great.
and
Great.
on our agenda that
And
we can
if
discuss.
any of you-
discuss it.
Can I say his name on camera?
Sure.
This is Jack Campbell.
Okay.
He is apparently a contractor that's well known, or used to be a contractor in the area. So I appreciate it. Thank
Okay,
you
that's
so
not,
much.
we'll,
I don't want anybody hurt, and
yeah.
thank
Well, we
goodness for
don't either.
PD and everybody putting out the notices and it going in the newspaper. So thank goodness it's gotten better. It's gotten a lot better.
Okay, well, we'll tell Mr. Campbell, we'll put him on
Yes.
and tell him, but I know who he is. And tell
Okay,
him, Just tell him I said hi.
I will.
I hadn't seen him in a while. It's been a while since I've seen him, but yeah, tell him we'll put him on so we can talk about it.
Yeah.
And that'll give you enough time now, since you all have already been in contact with each other.
I haven't communicated with
Okay.
Mr. Campbell, but we have collected some
Well,
traffic.
with all
data.
this talking.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll have an
We've been
analysis
talking.
complete.
Okay.
Yes, I'm sorry.
All right, good deal. All right, we'll put him on then for our next meeting for sure.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Glad you brought that to our attention. Because, yeah, we don't want our children hurt in Hendersonville, and that's farthest from, that's the worst thing in the world, really.
Well, when 14-year-olds have dirt bikes,
Yeah.
that they're riding them, who were riding them in their neighborhood very fast,
Right.
and there's no stop lot sign to them. They don't care, they're just, and it got really out of hand. And so the younger folks thought, well, if they can do it, I can,
Yes,
so.
yes.
But I think we've got it somewhat under control, and we also had a lot of illegal golf carts being used by adults.
Yeah.
So, and that has slowed down somewhat, but it's very hard being right next to a swim and tennis community when they want to drive
Yes.
those there.
Yes.
So if they're driving them responsibly,
Yeah,
I didn't ever,
that's a different
that's
issue.
totally different,
Yeah.
but thank
Well,
you.
You're doing your job, and so that's good, and I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you for this. All right. All right, is there anything else? Well, if not, we'll go ahead and call this meeting.
Motion
adjourned.
to adjourn.
All right, there's been a second. And
Are we off?
6:03.
Andy, you don't have any golf carts in your subdivision, do you?